What's up, military millionaires? I'm normally your host, David Pere, but today my friend Alex Felice hijacks the podcast so much that he is even asking himself the questions I normally prompt. It's an adventure, it's a wild ride. We talk about everything from real estate to personal development to why I need to do a YouTube video about socialism because check it out.
You're listening to the Military Millionaire Podcast, a show about real estate investing for the working class. Stay tuned as we explore ways to help you improve your finances, build wealth through real estate, and become a person that is worth knowing.
I'm not winging it. I got a whole bunch of stuff lined up.
All right. Well, hey guys, it's Dave from Military to Millionaire. So I'm here with Alex Felice again. This time we're going to do, I have no idea. So he's got all kinds of stuff in mind. I don't know what's going on. So we were going to talk about what we were going to talk about and then do this. And we just decided to hit record and see what happens. So welcome back, Alex.
Thank you very much. Excited to be here. I always I'm thankful for the opportunity to participate. And I'm grateful that you're going to let me run this show.
Excited to see what happens.
All right. So a quick introduction for me, for anybody who didn't watch the first one. I'm a single family real estate investor, long distance. I do everything long distance: acquisition, rehab, rent refinance, and repeat. I haven't seen most of my houses. I'm up to 7 rental properties now. I think I got a lead on one. I'm about to buy this house. I had an electrical fire. So that would be 8, and I should hit 9, 10 by the first half of the year. But that's what I do. And I run a website called brokersofchoice.com. So I had a few things that I wanted to talk to you about that we didn't touch on last time that were military related that I thought you'd be excited to talk about.
Of course. I just wrote down the title.
Stuff.
My title for this is going to be Alex Felice Hijacked My Podcast.
Oh, I love that.
So
I love that. Okay. So I had some thoughts. One of the biggest things that I learned in the last year I started my blog only about a year ago, just over. And it really had a big impactful difference, not monetarily necessarily right in the beginning, because you don't make money in your blog at the beginning. You just, just write for yourself essentially. But it's a valuable exercise to both write and think out loud and you're essentially trying to sell your ideas to the world. And so these are all valuable traits, and they compound, they scale infinitely, meaning you're always going to get better, and the upside is unlimited, but the downside is nothing. Writing is essentially free.
Yep. And
if you have a brain, you have infinite amount of content. Okay. So my advice for military people is something I didn't do till I was 34, and I wish I had done when I was 19, is every military person should have a blog. Every military person who wants to succeed should have a blog, should have some place on the internet that they can write their thoughts and then share their unique experience with the world. Now, when you're on base, it doesn't feel like your experience is that unique because you're Joe just like everybody else. But you're 500,000 people out of 350 million people out of 7 billion people. The fraction is really small, and it's a really unique experience. And so what I didn't do in the military was take a lot of pictures and document my life and what I thought. And so if you could do this along with investing, even if you didn't invest right away, start that blog, get your stuff on paper. And you'll find that writing is an extremely valuable and makes you very competitive. You want to compete and get promoted in the military? I bet you having a background in writing will let you think your thoughts out clearer and give you a lot more credibility.
And it'll help you with figuring out how to write your own promotion reports and a lot of stuff that gets factored in nowadays. They want like book reviews and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can do all sorts. I mean, the potential is unlimited. So I just off the top of my head, what you just said, I do book reviews on my website now. And what if you're a military guy and you start writing book reviews for military history or military strategy books, and you put them on your website to go along with it? Or, for me, what I wish I had done now looking back is I could have done more on the history of the airborne and things like this. And so, but anyways, it's just it's just a thing. My advice I've been telling everybody lately is everybody needs to blog. Everybody needs to have a place on the internet that's their own, not just a screw around thing like Facebook or, God forbid, even LinkedIn, but have your website. And so a blog is an easy way to start that. It gets your experience out there and it shares your unique life view that it doesn't seem as common when you're in, because everybody's doing it. But when you get out, you're like, oof, I should have had more.
It's funny you say that, because I don't know if I ever like talked in detail to you about why I started my blog, but one of the things was I was looking at writing a book and I was like, I'm not a great writer. Nobody's going to read it anyway. Let me just start this thing. And well, the reason was I had two different book ideas. One was like real estate, whatever. The other one, and this correlates exactly what you're saying, is when I was in Afghanistan, I was somehow, I don't know where this came from, but I was smart enough to keep not one, but two journals. So I no joke, I have a journal that is dated and like day by day by day, there's an entry. And I have a journal that's a mission log and hour by hour by hour of every mission. And they tie in like this. And I can literally go in and go, August 1st is mission 13. And this happened on this day. And this is what I was thinking while it happened, all the way down. And that's probably one of the coolest things that I've done throughout the military. It's not online. It's not a blog. Someday I might tie it all in together. But I can literally go back there and go, on September whatever is the day I drove over an IED. This is how I was feeling 5 hours after I drove over an IED or whatever, and it's super cool. And so to say that, like, if I had put it on the internet or been blogging everything else, I mean, that's like a 7-month window that I documented. Everything else is a couple pictures, but a blur. So that's super cool idea.
Yeah. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share it with you. I thought that was something you'd like. What else? I forgot what my mindset was when I was writing these. I was talking to you and I was like, I gotta come up with something to talk about on a blog. And we had discussed winging it, which is fine, but I figured we can wing it around some thoughts I had. I had this thing where I was a slacker in the Army. I wasn't a bad troop, but I was like, you're surrounded. Well, it depends on what unit you're in. And I was in the Army, not the Marines. And so I was around a lot of mediocrity. And mediocrity breeds mediocrity. And so when you're in the military and that's what it was. Somebody had said, they're like, I'm going to get out and I'm going to make XYZ amount of money. And my thought was, don't let being in the military give you a false sense of the false sense of confidence in your ability to succeed in the civilian sector. It's hard to, it's not as easy to get out and be a hot shot as you would think. And there's idiots abound in the civilian sector. And just like the military, a lot of them are going to be your boss. Yeah. And so it kind of comes back to a thing that you had said in your show notes to me. If for any 18 to 20-year-old nothing, what advice would I give you? Fucking try. Try hard now. I'm serious. Try hard now. Try hard tomorrow. Try hard always. Try hard. Like, in the military, like I said, it's easy to like go to work, be a decent troop, run fast, shine your boots. Well, you don't have to do that no more. Score high in your promotional tests. Get your soldier of the quarter. Even if you don't do that, you can still go far. And it's like, that is not what it's going to take to succeed long run. You got to start building your civilian life now for when you want to get out, even if you want to retire.
I agree. And you and I have talked about the fact that I'm still teetering, right? Like I basically decided I'm not extending my contract past where it is right now, but I'm going to execute one last transfer of duty station. And that'll be the final hinge point, is as I go full-time on this, that'll be my final decision point as far as, okay, is this going well enough? And am I having enough fun doing this that I can toss the career aside? Because I do love the Marine Corps, but as I do that, what I'm doing is intentionally, I'm volunteering for all the narrator positions that I can in the unit, so that I'm getting in front of the unit as a public speaker. I'm teaching a class at least once a month on finances to all my service members, because I want to teach that and get more practice, repetition. And I'm going out of my way to try to go into like instructor courses and things like that, where I can build and focus on, what's going to happen after.
That's a lot of trying.
Yeah. I don't know about hard, but trying.
Well, but my point, look, you don't have to, when I say try hard, what I mean is try consistently, try every day. Yeah. Right. And you got to go above and beyond the military. If you're a top-notch troop and you're the best in your unit, and then you become a civilian, the competition pool just got way bigger. because your company or your platoon or your battalion are small, but the capitalist competition for being, you want to be Jeff Bezos or anywhere in between, the competition is hot. You got to compete against me, dog. I had one for, actually, let me do one of yours first.
See, legitimately hijacking. He just took my questions and he's asking them to himself. I don't even know what I'm doing here. I'm just gonna like do this and just let you, no, I'm just kidding. Whoa. It auto-focused on my hand. That's cool.
I was gonna ask this question, but I'm kind of not so sure. It's really not in your wheelhouse here, but I'm gonna ask anyways.
Yeah, try me.
For people who are in the military that watch this podcast, they're probably, my guess is, a lot of them are thinking about what they want to do when they get out, or they want to get out and they want to secure their future. Just as I'm saying, they're like, look, I don't want to get out and then go, I don't know what to do. I want to secure my future either now or shortly as soon as I get out, or I want to get out early, whatever the case may be. And so for anybody who wants to get out of the military, and I'm going to ask this in a messed up way, but I was thinking you could ask people, how do you rebel against the military? Everybody has some form of rebellion.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Okay, there you go. Everybody has some form of rebellion. Everybody, yeah, right. There, that's what it was. That was the mustache.
My subtle.
Right? So, mine is shaved, right? But it comes down to the same thing. It's like, what are you? I'm curious. I'd be curious to know if you can get out of people. What is it? I had fun in the military. I liked my time. It was the best thing it was the best thing that I ever did for me. And there are reasons why you should want to rebel against the military. The military takes away and I'm not talking bad. I'm just speaking the way I speak. The military by design takes away your individuality. Yes, you can't grow that mustache like you want. You can't grow a beard. It takes away your individuality. And so if you want to be a successful investor or a successful business person, you're going to need to have a lot of individuality.
I agree.
And so I think that these two things, it took me a little while to explain. I haven't really thought the idea how to sell it well, but you have people in the military that want to be more individualistic. That's why they come to your podcast, because they want to learn how to do something that the military is not teaching them. And they want to do it probably outside of the military, at least eventually.
Yeah.
Yes. And so everybody has to have this. I'd be curious if you could get that out of people. If you could ask it regularly, what do you do to rebel against the military? Just to expand on that idea, or some kind of, maybe not say it that way, but
stand out against the crowd.
Well, yeah, I call that rebellion, dog.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a polite way of saying the same thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
One of the things that I think, as you're saying this, I've subtly begun to do, which I wouldn't necessarily call rebellion, but as I'm starting to look more future focused, and also because people are seeing what I'm doing, I've realized the barrier between my rank and higher ranks, has diminished. And I don't mean that in a, like, I don't respect X, but there's a very open level of communication with officers coming to me, asking me advice and stuff and things like that.
You know what the fuck you're talking about. I know it now.
That wasn't there before. And it would have been kind of awkward to just be like, oh yeah, well, blah, 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 without like whatever. And so obviously in professional setting, it's still very professional, but that's something that I would say I've like kind of get some weird looks sometimes when I'm not broing it up, but just having a full on normal conversation with people that are, out of my pay grade as far as life.
Yeah. They're out of your pay grade, but you know more than them.
Some aspects. Yeah.
Some aspects, yeah. Well, let me tell you something. Intelligence is the great equalizer, and this is another one why I tell people to read so much, because everyone can read, and once you know what you're talking about, right? Like, I'm a total maniac in real life. Well, right? But people give me more respect than you'd think, and people who are way out of my, like, from my pay grade, it equals the playing field for that exact reason, because I know what I'm doing. And once you really know, your personal confidence in the matter goes way up as well. Because the LT comes up to you, or even higher, lieutenant light colonel comes up to you and he's like, "Hey, I'm broke. I need some help." What's that?
I said, and that happens.
Of course it happens. Dude, being a high military rank doesn't mean you know how to spend money wisely.
No, which is scary when you think about the amount of income that some of those guys have coming in.
I got a guy who works next to me, makes $450,000 a year, and he's always living week.
It's just,
in fact, less than that. He's drowning because he has so much debt.
Which goes back to what I'm always saying, and people hate this, but the world doesn't have a freaking income problem. We have an expense problem. And when it just blows me away when people are so adamant about $15 minimum wage solving all their problems, but they're wearing like a Garmin, carrying an iPhone X. They've got a Gucci belt, J's, like 3 different versions of them, and they spend all, and I'm like, I get it. It's cool. I had cool stuff. I like nice toys, but you can't have nice toys when you don't. But that's an asset, though. You can make money with that. That's how I justify a lot of my fancy stuff for videos. But like,
I got toys around here that nobody needs to own, though.
Well, to be fair,
no, I agree with you. I say that all the time. It's not about what you make. It doesn't matter what you make. It matters what you do with what you make.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so, I don't make that much money in my day job. And I've got really far because I know how to use what I have really efficiently. And so, you can make twice as much as me, and you're going to waste it on anybody who's watching this in the military and they have a car payment or a truck payment. You're fucking up. Straight up. You don't make enough to have okay, here's the rule I go by. If you should never spend more than 5% of your net worth on a vehicle. And so when I say this to people, they go, what usually I see, the first thing I see in their eyes is they don't know what their net worth is.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right. Okay. Then you spent too goddamn much.
Or you get the people like, I saw this on Facebook the other day. Someone was talking about net worth, and someone, they posted about their net worth, and immediately I was like, that's counting all your assets, probably not the equity involved. Just like, so like for realistically right now, right? I could say I own X millions of dollars worth of real estate, but
same.
Who cares? That's not my net worth. If you look at the equity sliver and the savings and the TSP and the whatever, like the money I can actually use. Exactly. And so that's, when we say net worth, we're talking how much money could you have if you sold everything? What would be in your account?
Net worth is assets minus liabilities.
Yeah.
And many people don't count your primary residence. Which, if you actually do that, the net worth of most Americans is probably negative.
Yeah,
because they have a car payment. But intelligence is the great equalizer for sure, and it comes back to my advice to 18 to 24-year-old nothings: read and write every day. Do an hour, 30 minutes of reading, 30 minutes of writing every single day. You'd be astounded, and it compounds. In 5 years, you'd be. If you did that in 5 years, you'd be financially free. In 10, you'd be rich.
Yeah. Oh, and on the car payment thing, just so that people, don't lose their mind over the podcast, there are ways to mitigate that. And I'm not saying you should have a car payment, because you would still do better if you didn't. But my wife's car has a car payment. It's not much, but it's a car payment. And I Turo it. Like last week, I Turoed it for like 8 days, and I made $100 more than what her car payment is off just letting someone else drive the thing around. And that doesn't necessarily mitigate. I mean, I would have made $300 cash if I didn't have a car payment on it. But there's guys like that. There's guys who do like Bite Squad. I've got Marines who make like $100 a night driving their car around, delivering food. And again, doesn't mitigate the car payment, but at least it's not costing you money. And then of course they blow their money on something else. And I'm like, if you don't take your Bite Squad paycheck and put it in a different bank account, don't touch it, but they don't listen. So some of them do. They'll be successful. But
yeah. Well, look, my style is not to. I'm not trying. I don't. How do I say it?
You to polarize. You don't care how they feel about yourself.
Yeah, I tell you the rule, and then and then it's your job to go and. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Look. And to be fair, right now I have a car payment. So it's not bad in all situations. My car died. I went off and bought a little 2015. I think I lost your video.
Uh-oh. All right, we're back. We're recording again. Apparently my kid was on YouTube and I had a YouTube video downloading. I don't know. But my internet said that I needed a break. to run around like a chicken with my head cut off and figure out why my podcast dropped. And we're back with Alex.
Thanks for having me. I love how you just steamrolled your kid and made him the scapegoat for this.
Oh yeah, totally. It's all his fault. It's not all.
That is I don't have kids, but that is the one appealing thing. It's like, not my.
I walk around the corner and he's like still laying in bed, but the phone's up with YouTube just streaming. And I'm like, but I need to go. I think I accidentally, because I have 2 Wi-Fi channels, and I think I put him on this one on accident the other day, and I need to have him on his own individual one. So, oh well.
So, what I've been wanting to do is I'm sick of wearing. Did I tell you this already? I have this nice backdrop with all my stuff, my pictures, my life. Some of it's just silliness. Some of it's really, really particularly special to me. But I'm sick of wearing other people's shirts. This one's particularly awesome. But yes,
wearing my own shirt.
That's right. So that's what I did. I went onto some website on the internet, Zazzle, where I ordered my business cards, and I customized and I made a bunch of T-shirts with logos and stuff. One of them says "Suck it up," so I want to wear it for these things because I'm sick of wearing somebody else's damn content. So I was gonna bring it up to you, but you're already ahead of the game, which makes me mad.
So ironically, I don't want to say I'm so far ahead of the game because that would be stuck up, but I currently have a contest running on Freelancer for where I said I want a shirt that says something like this, design it, and I just got like 60 entries this morning. I haven't had a chance to go through them, so I got a week. I'm looking for, if you read like Russell Brunson's book Expert Secrets, he talks about your community he talks about like building a brand. If you can build a brand where your brand name can be turned into a title. So for example, for mine, From Military to Millionaire becomes Military Millionaires as the title of like the group or the population. So I'm trying to get a shirt design that's like Military Millionaire or whatever. That I don't know. I have no idea what they're going to come up with, but if something looks really cool, narrow it down to like 5 or 10, I'll put it out there for people to vote on and then see what happens with it.
You know who did that was, or kind of did that was yours. That's a good idea that we have. And I've had trouble converting mine to anything like that. How do you convert broke as a choice to a what would that be? Like an adjective. Yeah, it's tough. But Pete McPherson has been trying to do this where he's trying to convert "do you even blog" to, he calls his people "do you even," the "do you even" tribe.
I like that.
So, I think he may have read that book or he's heard that advice and he's trying to do the same thing. And that's an interesting one. Yeah, and I found that little. I picked my name. I don't know anything about branding, so I just picked it because it just pisses people off, which is perfect.
I got lucky.
I like your name. Yours is it's to the point and it's
I told you how I chose it, right?
You did not.
Okay, I didn't choose it. I sent like 10 domain names out to like a bunch of close friends, and they all said these suck. And then like 2 or 3 people said, "How about you try this?" And then it was all similar, so I put like 2 or 3 versions of that together and sent it out to a different group of people, and it was unanimous for this name. I was like, So I didn't choose it. It wasn't something that even came to mind.
So you owe all your success to somebody else.
But everybody loves it, so I'm rolling with it.
Yes. My name, I originally didn't want this. I wanted I had this little slogan I say all the time: "Want better, be better." And it's the premise is, if you want a better life, you don't go after the better life. You just have to become better, and then life will follow. But that was all taken up and this and that. And so I was like, because you want to get the domain, but also the Facebook page and the Instagram handle and the YouTube channel. You want to get all of them. And so I remember that was like, I could only get like 1 or 2, and the domain was taken anyway. And so I ended up settling on this one weekend because I just really wanted to write and post some stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's probably pissing people off, but I can change it later. And
it's a super catchy name.
Yeah, it's a super catchy name and it suits me. So my brother and I just started a new little project. It's gonna be a website and a video. It's gonna be us Skyping basically like this. We uploaded some videos on YouTube yesterday, but it's really casual. It's just us, it's just us yammering, but it's not really investing so much. He's not a real estate guy. It's more like we just talk about culture and history, politics, and books and whatnot. And that's one's called No Better Return.
.com. That's catchy too.
Yeah,
so I came up with it. just take yours and turn it into an acronym. So like BIAC. So you
Yeah.
can just call your group like biatches.
Ooh, I like that.
It's like BIAC apostrophe S and just pronounce it differently. It'd be like,
Yeah, it's French. That's French. Biatches. I like that. That's fucked up.
It is, but with your personality, the people following you will all appreciate that.
Oh yeah.
So,
Yeah. That's perfect. I would love to be able to walk around there. Oh, that's my biatches.
These are my biatches. Oh man, I'm gonna go trademark that right now, so you have to pay me. No,
I will do it.
Oh, that's funny. All right. What other stuff did you have on their list of talking points? Anything? If not,
I think that was all of them.
All right. Well, then I'm going to throw the VA loan at you and make you talk to me for like 2 minutes. No, I'm not. Because we can go back and forth. I'm actually getting ready to use it here soon, but I'll probably still put 5% down so that I don't have a funding fee.
Are you disabled?
So no, not well. That's the funny thing, right? So I'm absolutely over a 10% disability rating, but you cannot have a disability rating until you exit. So until I
have disability rating until what?
Until you exit the service. So because I'm still active duty, I do not rate, even though I have a hearing aid, which is guaranteed over the 10% mark. So
I'm 70% disabled, dog.
Ooh, broken. Clearly, clearly when you go to the gym. No, so I mean, I know that I'll be over that mark, but yeah, you're not allowed. What's really funny about that is you look at like the VA standards is a reservist who activates, goes to combat, gets hurt, comes back into reserve status, rates disability status for their job. For whatever. So if they got, a hearing aid and they're 20% disabled, they rate that even though they're still in the military. But an active duty guy does not. So if I transfer into the reserves, I will rate all my disability assets and I will be able to waive funding fee.
I mean, that makes sense. The reserves, they don't pay. Not good.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes sense. It's just kind of funny because you think like, I was talking to someone the other day and he used this example, which kind of blows it out of the water, but you've got guys who are still active duty that are amputees. And so you've got like this guy who's missing a hand.
And they can't get rid of their funding fee because
and doesn't rate no funding fee for the VA because he's not disabled yet. He's missing a leg. No big deal.
Yeah, the world's imperfect, man. The world is imperfect, especially bureaucracy.
Yeah. So I'm looking to San Diego is more affordable than here.
Well, that's also
but the housing allowance is the same. So I'm gonna do some work. If I can find something great with because you can wrap. There's ways to wrap a renovation into it. If I can find something that cash flows, then I'll play the game. If not, I'll rent.
They do have a 203 aspect to VA. I know that. I don't know much about it. What were you going to ask me about VA loans?
Oh, I was just gonna rant with you because I know that you love to rant. But
you introduced me to a friend of yours.
Yeah. Did you guys get a chance to talk yet?
I emailed him once.
Fair enough.
I sent him my link to a blog article I wrote that said, VA loan is a trap. Don't do it. Terrible idea. And then he never responded. So,
well, that's kind of what he wanted. He wanted an antithesis, and I was like, I've got just the guy for you.
Yeah. Well, the problem is I'm very convincing. So look, if you ask me for an antithesis, my position is, okay, fine. I'm going to try to convince you not to write that book. Which not anything personal or not that I don't want the guy to succeed or write the book. It's just, it comes back to what we were talking about earlier. You got to know your stuff. And so you have to go out to the world and sell your ideas, and you have to sell them against people that know their stuff. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have vocal opinions, even if they don't know what they're talking about. And you have to be able to do it in the face of all these things. So it wasn't anything personal. The guy was nice. I wanted to help as much as I could, but my position is always, everything's a competition. Everything's a battle. And so you have to, if you want to write a book about how good the VA loan is, that's perfectly fine. But my job, my personality, my purpose for existing is to throw a wrench in your machine, like a big, ugly wrench. But the VA loan, okay, so my position with my article is the VA loan is perfectly fine for guys who need a primary residence, and especially if you're in a market that appreciates, which most military people are not, because they buy them in military towns, which are desolate. I don't know about the Marines.
Most of ours are not too bad. We've got like Oahu, San Diego, Jacksonville's not so great, but Quantico, Virginia is right next to where
Quantico,
Amazon's
Virginia's where
going
my
in
mother lives,
now. Yeah, so there's not all of them, but a lot of ours are oceanside, so it's more appreciable than Oklahoma, Fort Sill.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Well, but that's a good point. So there are ways to make money using a VA loan as an investor, but there's way more ways to fuck it up.
Yep.
And what I mean by this is, look, you're going to have no equity. If you buy a VA loan, you have to buy a retail house pretty much, right? They're not going to sell you a foreclosure with a VA loan. You can't buy anything that needs rehab. So not to say you can't get a deal. It's like, but who's going to sell you a deal for a perfectly fine house that they could sell retail? Why would they sell to you 30% under? So you're going to have to buy a retail house. You're probably going to have to pay retail, and then you're going to have no equity, and then you're going to have a funding fee. And it's like, dude, you're underwater from day one. How did you think you were going to make money on this investment? What people do is they try to go get the VA loan because they want to buy something and they don't have any money. And so their solution is, I can use this VA loan. And it's like, that's a trap. That is a solution for the wrong. It's the wrong solution for the problem. The problem is you got no money, and the problem is you have no equity, and you're making that problem worse. And so what you need is, and you're not going to be able to cash flow on a house that's later when you bought it retail. $100,000 house, rents for $1,000 a month. You have a $100,000 loan, dude. There's almost no money to be made there, and unless you wait 10, 15 years, which that's a long time to wait just to gain a little equity. So the VA loan is a perfectly fine resource, but for an investor, it can be a trap because people go towards 0% down. And that is the wrong way. What's the number 2 rule of real estate? You make money when you buy.
Yep.
You can't make money when you buy retail. So the VA loan is a useful tool in some circumstances, but for an investor, it's tough.
There's better opportunities out there. Yeah.
You can do it with stuff like a fourplex if you do that, maybe. But even then, you're buying that fourplex retail, bruh.
Yep, exactly. So we're gonna see. I've got doing lunch on Saturday with a guy who does VA, like the 203 vet renovation type loan. I'll pick his brain and see what the real opportunities are. Because if I can find something that's just a cosmetic train wreck, for a decent price, it's a duplex in the San Diego area, Vista, Oceanside, whatever. It's a good market. It's always going up or down, whatever. But it's a market where I know I'll have tenants. And as long as I know that it'll cash flow, then I'm okay pulling the trigger. But that's the thing, is it's got to be able to cash flow a significant amount while I'm in it. Because, like, for example, if I buy a $400,000 house, my BAH will cover the entire mortgage. So anybody that's in there as a tenant is just cash flow. That works for me until I leave. But the problem is I got to make sure it works full term. So I don't know. We're going to keep our options open, and I have no opposition to renting either. So.
Yeah. And look, like I said, well, again, back to my style. My style is, I'm going to tell you why it's a terrible idea, and then it's your job to talk your way out of it. The VA loan, what you're doing is fine. You're going to, one, buy at a discount, right? You're going to do the rehab. So you're going to have equity in there, certainly a little. Okay, good. The second thing is you're buying a duplex, you'll have cash flow. So good. Then it works. My point is, that's not how most people use the VA loan. Most people use the VA loan for their personal residence. And if you buy a personal residence retail and then you think you're going to make a rent on it later, you're going to be a sad boy. Especially because here's what's going to happen. You buy a brand new house, right? And you say, well, here's what most people do. They do mortgage minus rent, or rent minus mortgage rather. Okay, you done messed up. So you bought this new house and you're like, oh, it doesn't need anything. It's like, yeah, but you're going to own it for 30 years or 10. And in 10 years, it's going to start needing stuff. And in 15 years, it's going to start really needing stuff. Maybe not HVAC or roof, but you'd be surprised.
Goes back to
20 years, it's going to need a roof.
It's what I'm always telling people is, don't buy a home.
Never buy a home.
Investment.
Always buy a house.
Yep. Buy an investment property. Don't buy unless you plan, like if I was like 100% dead set, I'm going to live in San Diego when I retire. This will be my forever home. Maybe something a little bit nicer neighborhood. Maybe I'd care about the neighborhood, but as it stands, neighborhood doesn't matter. Like area doesn't matter.
Yeah, you can't give that advice
for the only thing that matters.
Yeah, you can't give that advice to people either, especially young people, because they're like, okay, but I'm gonna live there forever. You don't know, dog. You're gonna change your mind. And let me tell you something else. You know what's worth more than a nice house? Freedom. What happens when the fucking earthquake happens and San Diego's not so cool to live in anymore?
Or the volcano on Hawaii.
Or the volcano, or the fires, or the place goes wicked, super lefty liberal, or you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what Black Swan event is going to happen. I'm not saying San Diego's not going to be that it's going to be popular for a long time. But I just mean, what about all the other towns that don't stay as popular, or you want to get up and get out? Something else happens. Oh my God, there's an economic boom in Denver. I want to go. Well, too bad, because I bought this monstrosity of a house because I thought I'd live here I thought I'd live here forever. And I said that when I was only 23 or 25, and I didn't even know how much of an idiot I was at the time. And now you made this lifelong decision that you can't get out of, and that beautiful polished propeller has now turned into a dragging rusty anchor, and you can't get out of it, and you're losing money, and now your DTI is so high, it's so stretched, you can't even pick up a second house anyways, and you have no equity, so you can't get out, and oh my God, my 2019 word of the year is barnacle. And that's what it is.
Are you allowed to pick that word like before the first month's over? I think you got to like see it out. We'll see. We'll come back in a year and see where you're.
My 2019 word of the year is barnacles. I said it then. I'm saying it now, and I'm gonna say it in the future. Are you questioning my commitment?
No, I mean, just helping solidify it.
No. I've been trying to write an article about it for a while. It's a tough one. Barnacles. It's just like stuff that piles up, and it starts dragging, overhead, and it just keeps picking up more stuff. And so a home is a barnacle. It's this thing that doesn't propel you any farther ahead in life. It's just overhead. And then it comes with all sorts of barnacles start piling up on top of it and dragging you down more and more. My house here, this is a giant ass barnacle. And I bought it because we got a bunch of dogs. They're amazing, but also barnacles.
Yeah. Definitely hinders your living opportunities as a renter.
Yeah, I can't go get a cheap condo. That's the way to do it. Go get a little cheap condo down. We live on the Strip, if I could.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
All right, how long we got? You ready to wrap?
Yeah, we got some time. What's that?
What else you got going
on? I got my first coaching call here in a little bit. It's exciting.
Tell me about that.
Yeah, so I have decided to start a 6-week coaching program. So it's going to be, this is beta test world right now. So it's all free with guys that are hopefully, I hand-selected guys who volunteered that are people that I know will not be afraid to tell me, this sucks. So other military guys, people who've given me feedback on things already, whether I liked it or not, that had volunteered that I'm like, okay, I know this guy will give me what I want, not what I want to hear, but what I need to hear. And then, so we're going to basically run through, let me just pull up my outline.
To interject while you're doing that, that's really good advice. That's advice that my family and friends hate to hear it, but I always tell them, like, you can't get advice from family and friends. Can't. They're going to give you the worst advice. You got to get somebody that like kind of has a good level of contempt for you. Somebody that really doesn't like you that much. That's the advice you need. That's the advice you need. Somebody that has no vested interest in your success and probably maybe wants you to fail a little bit. You need that advice. Mom is going to tell you you're amazing no matter what, and that is not helpful.
No, absolutely. Yeah, so like the first week, so it's going to be like a 30-minute call every week, and there'll be homework. So like this first week we're doing, I'm going to have them do a budget. I'm going to have them do, tell me everything about whatever. We'll talk books they've read so that I can give them a book to read over the first 3 weeks. I'm going to give them 2 books to read throughout the course. And then, if need be, give them an Audible referral so they can get the first free book or whatever. And then we're talking the first week's like budgeting, who's on your team, how they found their team members, how to find team members if they don't have them, dig into the team a little bit and figure out how can we get you a better property manager if need be, how can we do whatever. Second week's gonna be talking about like property analysis. How many are you analyzing? How are you analyzing? How can we streamline that to make it a faster, more effective process? Because realistically, I have a video on it and people laugh, but like 7 seconds, I can tell you in 7 seconds if a property is worth actually analyzing or not.
Correct.
It's like a simple time. I have this weird formula that's like X times X. Oh, nope, not worth my time. And that's just off the MLS or wherever. But how many offers are you writing multiple offers, different offer writing strategies, LOIs, realtor or whatever. Financing options will be another week, actually talking about how to find community banks, how to find private money, hard money, seller financing, how to negotiate that stuff. And the biggest thing for seller financing is just ask the freaking question, but don't tell them my secret. Due diligence inspection, walk them through the whole inspection period, inspection process, what like tricks of the trade, like walking your property manager through with your inspector to whatever, different things to streamline the process. And then, realistically, like not the last thing, I have 2 extra weeks on here that I'm going to try to add some stuff to as we go. But the last week as of right now will be focused entirely on like how to improve cash flow. So ways to mitigate expenses, ways to improve income. Like nobody really talks about that. I mean, they do, but that seems to be like everyone's focused on how do you buy a deal. But the reality is once you buy the deal, like for me, a commercial property, one of the first things I do, like on this big one I bought, the first thing I did was try to find a way to buy washer dryers where I'm not leasing so that the cash flow actually counts towards the value of the building. And I added 30 grand to buy, a couple of emails worth of value to the building. And I bring in an extra $100 a month in income. And just little things like that, so super rough draft. I have more detail in my like folders for each week, but it's a beta. So we'll see what happens. And then we'll improvise and adapt from there.
Well, good. That sounds good. Yeah. It's interesting what you said about, the world. Are you familiar with the term called survivorship bias?
Yes.
I just wrote an article for BP about this.
Oh.
But look, everybody's guilty of this, and some people are guilty knowingly. Some people are guilty unknowingly. I'm guilty knowingly. I know it's propaganda. And so you sell highlights, right? And well, the other thing is, look, buying deals is fun. Living with, and here's the other problem with real estate investing. It's really easy, right? And you're feeling it now where I can go off and I can buy 5 houses a year, and then that's all easy and fine and good for the first 2-3 years while things run right. But when things start to collapse, you have no experience of running the business. It's easy to oblige yourself to debt. It's much harder to live with the stress of, oh shit, I got 2-3 vacancies at one time. I had a house that just got flooded from an upstairs condo neighbor, and she's terrible to deal with, the insurance company, and it's all at once. And so, nobody talks about, they talk about how to get deals because that's the easy part. In all honesty, it's the living with the responsibility and the stress, and that thing's going to last 30 years. It's going to last till you sell it, which is probably going to be a long time. So, yeah, I do like that. You tell people, you gotta show people that it's not all, they say, oh, well, it's hard. It's not all fun and games. It's a lot of trials. It's persistence, and people hear it. But I'll tell you, there's something different when you got to go to sleep with it.
Yeah.
You got to go to sleep with that pain, that stress, that worry.
Yeah. I planned on an eviction the first month I took over my 10 unit, and I had 3 in the first quarter. Oops.
That's not so bad. Yeah.
Yeah, it wasn't terrible. I survived it. But one of the evictions also took out the roof and caused $2 grand worth of damage with his U-Haul. So that was fun. And then tried to say it wasn't him, but it's like, dude, you're the only U-Haul that was there that day, and we have eyewitnesses and police reports. Yeah, it wasn't my U-Haul. Someone else must have been. No, like you. And the best part is, it took 6 months to get that all figured out. He had paid the insurance damage to the U-Haul for the damage done to the truck, but was still denying that he had caused it. So he hit something on the top of the U-Haul, but wasn't admitting it was my roof. And I'm like, dude, come on, man. Like,
the U-Haul place. Yep.
Yeah, I got my money, but it took it was in June. I got it last month. So
yeah, that's what people don't. That's what they don't expect. They think, I'll have an eviction. I'll evict somebody. It's like, yeah, it's gonna take 3 months, and you're gonna have to live with the stress.
You have to pay for your carpet or whatever.
And then they're going to tear your place up because they hate you. Or I had to evict my very first tenant. It was terrible. And I have 3 properties right now that are in, well, one just got turned over. I had 3 properties out of 7 that didn't pay for December for various reasons. And, and sometimes, look, you know what? Nobody in the world would describe me as a nice fella. Not that I'm not nice, but that's not the adjective that they would initially.
It's not the first thing.
That's definitely it's on the list, but it's down. It's farther down. But so I had a tenant had the upstairs condo unit flooded out, and then it flooded my tenant's unit, and she had no renter's insurance. and I don't hold insurance on that property because it's a cheap little condo unit. I have HO6 master policy, but I don't have walls in policy. And so it flooded and I fixed it. And then the other lady upstairs, she wanted to come in, and the contractor is making a mad grab for her insurance. So she wanted to do mold treatment. So she went back in there and started tearing up my place. I mean, she's going to pay for it all, but my tenant has to get an extended stay motel, and I volunteered to pay for it. Well, now it's going long. So I'm not only not making money on this place, I'm paying out to help somebody else out. Now I don't have to, but it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of stuff people don't talk about. And they're like, well, Alex, that's the right thing to do. It's like, yeah, okay, but fine. But it's, you know, it's going to be a couple hundred. It's going to be well over $1,000 and no income.
Yeah.
So that's that kind of stuff that you don't expect. And then, at the same time, I had another a house that got renovated and it hasn't rented yet. And then I had another turnover in another property. And it's just like, dude, like my property manager is fantastic. Everything's going to work out. But you get 1 December, you're like, oh, I didn't get any money, or very, much less.
Yeah. I had 1 or 2 months last year where the income did not match the expenses, but overall, I mean, it still evened out, but.
For sure. And so people think, they're like, oh, well, it's just 1 or 2 months, Alex, no big deal. It's like, yeah, but you got to sleep every night with those 2 months knowing, because I don't know when it's going to get fixed. I don't know that it's going to be cool. I don't know that it's going to, that house hasn't got rented. It's like, when will it? Well, it should be another week or so. Should. Yeah. What if it's 3? What if it's 6? How long can you go? Here's the other thing is, I run my properties, I run high reserves, right? A lot of people run their ships tight, and all my properties have 30-40% equity. And my cash flow is high. So for new investors, when they're borrowing with their 0% loan, they have no cash reserves, and then you have a few tumultuous months, you get knocked out. You get knocked out hard. Yeah. And so I like what you're talking about, go in there, reduce the expenses, drop all the anchors, get rid of all the barnacles, and polish up that propeller so the thing runs right.
Yeah.
Don't just go and buy. Go ahead.
It's simple things too, like LED lighting, high efficiency sink, high efficiency toilet, high efficiency, or the light switches in the toilets or in the bathrooms that turn off automatically. Like that's on my commercial property where I pay utilities on some of the common areas. But, the bathroom, people leave the light on. So just turn it to one of the simple little timers. It goes off and it only comes on when someone walks in. That saves you a fortune over time, and it costs $20-$30 to put in. And then there's other things obviously for the property itself that are beneficial.
Do you put fans in the bedrooms?
Like ceiling fans? I think it depends on some. So my 1 bed, 1 bath units in my 10 unit don't have it, but my duplex has fans. Yeah.
We take all the fans out. We put one in the master, and that's it. Because especially kids' rooms, they hang on them and rip them down all the time. Just no more fans. And so that's the little stuff that we just put a little $10 bulb in there.
I like that idea. I'm going to add that to my coaching course.
Yeah. You can send royalties to Brokers of Choice. Alex at Brokers of Choice.
Well, as of right now, the royalties for that will be the royalties that I receive on everything. Zero. Although I did just click the button today to put a couple to somewhat AdSense monetize my blog. I don't know. I'm just testing the waters. It's 1 page that I don't really care about. So we'll see what happens. It's funny though. You talk about writing, and people talk about writing. Eventually something happens. It's weird. Every now and then something happens, and I don't know. So for example, yesterday I was on Google Analytics, and I'm like, what in the world happened? I mean, it was good. My reading spiked probably 200% on a page. And I'm like, what the world? I couldn't figure it out. And it just said Facebook. And I'm like, somebody shared my something somewhere. I could not figure it out anywhere. And the last time that happened was when Bigger Pockets shared one of my posts, and it went up 700 readers over normal that day. And this was not quite so big a jump, but I'm like, what in the world? Well, today it was the same thing. And I'm like, I don't, whatever. Someone shared on my page a screenshot, and I guess there's this private group for it's called Us Mentoring Us, and I can't even find it because it's totally hidden, but it's I think it's Air Force, but it's a staff NCO just helping each other out. So someone screenshot it and said, hey man, you're doing good things, and posted it to me, and the guy had been I wish I'd seen this before, blah blah blah, and I'm like, holy crap, I just got 500 or 600% more readers overnight over something that I didn't, and so it's funny because that's more than any of the marketing I'm doing. But
Well, no, but they go hand in hand. They go hand in hand. And so that's a great story. And that really is it. It's like you don't know what you're – well, first, when I say write, what I find a lot of bloggers do, which is a mistake, is they write for content.
Yeah.
They don't write – look, man, use your brain. I don't mean you. I mean everybody. Use your brain and write something that you have thought about deeply, and don't write for the sake of it. Write your thoughts out. And look, that takes a little bit of courage, especially if you have controversial thoughts, or if you want to if you really want to get somebody's attention, you got to write it out. You got to write it out thoroughly. And somebody will use your information and they'll enjoy it and they'll find it useful and they'll share it. And sure enough, one day somebody's gonna pop in there and it compounds, right? Because as soon now you have more subscribers or more people interested because somebody else got a hold of it. And then you don't know who else is going to share it next. And yeah, you just got to write. And so it's a habit like any other. At first I was really afraid to put myself out there. And now it's like, I write for BP. Did you see this article I wrote for Carl Jensen?
What was the title?
Do you know who that is? You know who that is, Carl.
Yeah, Mindy's husband, right?
Mindy's husband. He writes a blog called 1500 Days.
Yep.
And so they shared with me. Mindy texted me and she says, "Hey, we were on the local news, Denver, whatever, local news channel, came to their house and did an interview about financial freedom." Because he did 1,500 days, which is I want to retire in 1,500 days with $1 million, and it ended up being I think like 1.8 million. They retired. They clipped in like 5 years.
Yeah.
And so he writes this successful blog, 1,500 Days, and they came out to do a interview with him. And I'm reading the report and the video, and they're like, "Look, it's not that hard. There's no secret. Spend less than you make. Save. Be diligent." And so I read this, and my personality.
I didn't put together that was. I totally did see it. I just didn't put together that was that was Carl's blog. Yeah.
Yeah. And so so what I wrote, I said, if Carl Jensen, right? Because based on that quote, that was the one they singled out. They said it's not a secret. There's no secret sauce. You just have to spend less than you earn, and you have to be persistent. And that's part of what my blog is. Broke as a choice. Like people just don't try at all.
Yeah.
They just spend everything. And so I wrote, if Carl Jensen is a financial role model, then our country is screwed, right? If Carl Jensen's a financial role model, then we're having this is a national disaster. And so I wrote this article to him, and I said, "Look, don't take it the wrong way. It's just busting chops." But I used them as a kind of a beating a piñata, and I was like, there should be no reason why everybody can't do this. Look, even Carl can do it. And so I wrote. But I wrote it in a snarky way, and he posted on his thing. And then next thing you know, I'm getting a whole bunch of views because he has a very popular Twitter. And Mindy shared it and all this other stuff. And so, but if I didn't have the experience of writing it's only been a year, so it doesn't take long to get a little, to get decent at it. And so if I didn't have that experience, I wouldn't have written that and wrote it. And I didn't write it as a blog. I kind of just wrote it as a hilarious email. Yeah. He made it into a blog post and shared it.
But it's true though, because the reality is like being, you can say financially free, financially independent, wealthy, whatever way you want to say it, just being able to survive. So we'll use a very current example, a government funding issue where you may or may not get paid as a federal employee, which hasn't affected me. And I don't really know anyone personally that it has, but that's an issue, right? And that's a thought and that's a fear, and it's happened before. And yet, even though it happened 2-3 years ago where the military was worried they weren't going to get paid, we still have people that are like, "Oh my God, what do I do now?" And it's like, it's not hard. Just save some money. Like, so I talk about my percentage of money that I save and this, that, and the other. But what's funny about it is right now I'm debating going to this conference, and I was like, it's this much and blah, blah, blah. But then I'm like, I have a fund for flights, and I put like $500 a month in it that I don't even think about. So I like looked at it and I'm like, well, that's what it's for. So money to go to this conference I don't even need to think about it because I got, $3,000 in there right now.
Plus it's a good investment.
Yeah, so I got to drop my leave request and see about. Did I tell you what conference? Try to go to the 10X Growth Conference. So I'm iffy. I'm still on the fence. I've heard good things about the conference, but it's not really my niche. But the reason I'm going is there's a guy named Meet Kevin who's a big YouTuber, and he's doing his first ever conference. He's piggybacking the day prior, and so I'm kind of like, man, he's an up and coming real estate guy and a very up and coming YouTuber. if I can get into it's like $100. If I can get in on his very first conference where there's not many seats, there's like 50 people going, and I can talk to him and network with him. He lives in the LA area. That in itself will be beneficial. Plus I got not free, but I'm going to pay like somebody offered me to crash in their Airbnb with 10 other real estate investors for the whole time.
Oh, awesome.
So I'm like, oh boy, it's going to be insane. So like the conference is going to be fun, but that's not even the reason I'm really debating going at this point, is because of everything else. But anyway, the whole point with that is, sorry, I'm going to keep cutting you off because that's the whole point with that is just, it's not hard. Just save money. Just once a month to say, I'm not buying that, and put it away.
Well, the way I do is I say pay yourself first.
Yeah, exactly. I've got all my envelopes over there.
Yeah, look, the government shutdown. Yeah, perfect example. It's like, this is your fault. If you can't go 2 weeks without money, have you heard of the word wage slavery? That's a real problem. But in America, it's voluntary.
I just need to do a video on that. I just realized that. I just read a book on YouTube, and it talks about like piggybacking off trends. So I was thinking about trying to find a way to find Bird Box as like a video, because that's a trend right now, to piggyback into real estate, but I couldn't really find a way that worked. But that's what I need to do. I need to do a video called like, I don't know, something polarizing. Like if the government shutdown has you worried, you're fucked up, or, you know, something.
If the government shutdown has you worried, you're a socialist.
but realistically, yeah, I mean, you know,
that's exactly what it is. The government's a giant jobs program. And so if you can't go without your job by the government, that is pure, there is no other term for it. That's socialism. And you're at the mercy of the government. You are there. and
write the title down.
Yeah, you're a socialist, dog. And I'm okay with a little bit of socialism. I'm not even like a total, but people that, you know, they love to say, oh, the government does everything terrible, but man, I really want my Social Security check. Or oh, I hate the government, but I can't go 2 weeks without them. So yeah, I have very little sympathy for anybody who can't make their nut because the government's been shut down for 22 days. You can't go 22 days without. And look, I know I've been in finance for a long time. I sold cars. I did finance for car lending for a long time. And I'm here to tell you, I know very intimately how many people live in week to week, and it's almost all of them. And I still have no sympathy for them because it was this way 10 years ago. It's this way now. It's going to be this way in 10 years from now.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I mean, socialism is government means of production. So, but the government shutdown is starting to affect other people. My brother is a DOD. I don't think he's DOD, but he's a government contractor for one of the government departments, and he's out of work. Ugh. Right. And he's like, dude, do you know how much I've gotten done on my personal stuff? This is the best vacation I've ever had. But my brother has no financial worries because he's responsible.
Yeah.
And he doesn't make any more than he makes decent money, but it's, you know, it's not like, I mean, it's contract money. So it's decent, but it's not, he's not killing it. And yet he has no financial problems. Why? Because he doesn't have any fat car payments, and he doesn't go off and he still has nice toys, but he's just reasonable about him. You don't need a new phone every year. You don't need a car within the last 5 years. And so when the government shuts down and people struggle, it's like, well, like you said, the government shuts down all the time. Not all the time, but it shuts down fairly regularly that you should know that this is coming.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't be at the.
Our budget is terrible. The federal, like the way they budget things, like it's not that it's a terrible budget. It's
politicized. That's why.
Yeah,
and they do it all the time. They're going to try to change. I don't want to get too political, but I think they're going to try to introduce a law where they can introduce a mechanic so the government can't shut down over funding issues, because both sides use it as a tool of leverage because nobody wants the government to shut down. So it's like anybody, and so they basically just find out where they can shift the blame and then lean on them, and nobody wants to take the blame for it. So it's like,
and what's funny is they're shut down right now, and not to get into politics, so I'm going to do this in the least political way I can say this because I don't want to enter that realm. The government is shut down. We'll keep it in the financial realm. The government shut down over something piddly. Like $5.7 billion in the government budget is minuscule. We spend way more than that on so many things that don't matter. And on again, not getting into politics here, we'll keep it negotiating now, right? So we'll avoid that straight. The Democratic Party, in my opinion, shouldn't have said, no, we're putting our foot down because of this $5.7 billion. They should have used it as a negotiation tool to get something they want. But unfortunately, they're like dug in the trenches now, and it's going to be this big battle of, oh, who's going to?
Yeah, well, they did that last year, and they did that last year. It was 25 million for DACA, and then they got reneged on.
Oh,
so,
I will go check my resources. Yeah, that definitely, yeah.
But again, so the main point is what we should focus on is if you are reliant on someone else for your financial well-being, that's your fault. Certainly if you're over 30. So
yeah, I can still be reliant for another year.
Well, I just mean there's a point where you have to take absolute responsibility. If you're 30, if you're 20, if you're 15, if you're 18 and you don't know any better, I give you a little bit of sympathy. Or if you grew up in a position where it's like you just nobody taught, you had no way to get financially stable. When you're 20, you're an idiot. Your 20s, 20 to 30, you're an idiot. You don't even know you're an idiot. You're probably insulted of me calling you an idiot right now if you're listening to this. So, but you're an idiot. You'll agree with me you'll agree with me later. And so, so I give those people a little bit of leeway where you're out spending money, buying, trying to pick up chicks, spending money on alcohol, buying cars and toys, whatever. Fine. But when you're 30, no excuse, my friend. And, and you don't want to be beholden to somebody else, especially the government.
Yeah.
So get your shit together.
I'm totally going to write that video and publish it this week.
If you're worried about the government shutdown for your financial independence, then just admit you're a socialist.
Yeah, except I might have to title it with the socialist part first. Like, you're a socialist if the government shutdown has you worried, or something. We'll tweak the title a little bit. Maybe I'll bounce it off one of my title gurus that I know and see what we think. But if
you're what's the old Jeff Foxworthy bit? You might be a socialist if.
Ooh, I like that.
You might be a socialist if. Although I'll tell you this, I hate that this is political. I hate that word socialism has become an insult.
I agree.
In and of itself.
It's not.
But anyways. So I hate that I'm participating in it right now is what I was trying to say.
It's all good. It's all polarizing. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
All right. So I should probably eventually wrap this up. So I'm going to go back to one question. I'm going to ask one of my questions so that I'm kind of hijacking this back. What is one resource that you would recommend to anyone getting started in real estate?
Brokeasachoice.com. How about Bigger Pockets?
I was going to give you a chance to plug yourself next, but that works.
How about Bigger Pockets? That's the one. That's what I started with.
Yeah, I agree.
Military to Millionaire first, then Bigger Pockets, then my website.
I appreciate it. Hopefully, if they're listening to this, then part of that's because they already know.
Let me give you an answer that somebody else made and I give you. How about you should go to meetup.com and find local real estate investors in your area and make some real life friends who do this.
Yes, absolutely.
Jim Rohn said you're the average of your 5 closest friends. Well, you better don't make 5 friends that like real estate. Make 5 friends that are so successful that they really don't want you around. That's what you need to grow.
And don't make friends by walking up to them and saying, hey, I need you to help me with this. Make friends by going and bringing value to their life. So figure out what they need, figure out what problems they have, figure out what's going on with them, and then solve the problem. Don't ask for anything in return. Don't be like, hey, I see that you only write 1 article a week, and I think you could be a lot better served by writing 2. How about you pay me to write an article? No, just write them articles. Find a way to bring value to them, and you'll get in their circle a lot faster.
Also ask.
Yeah.
People offer me stuff all the time that I'm like, dude, I don't want that or need that. And I can tell that you didn't go to my website to find out what my approach or my angle is, because every month I write a newsletter and I say, this is the things that I need help with. I put it right in my blog. And so when somebody comes to me like, hey, like you said, hey, I can help you proofread articles or I can edit some stuff. And I'm like, did I ask for that? No. So I know that you haven't even read my content, which means I know that you're only really thinking about yourself. You're just trying to get done what you think I need so you can go then and go get what you want. So when you give that advice, which a lot of people do, bring value. Yeah. Well, if you really want to bring value to somebody, find out what they really need. Ask them, or go look at their content, and don't assume that you have something that they're clamoring for. Find out what they think they need. But again, it comes down to start a dialogue. make a
And
friend.
be a good person.
That one's hard, and it's not that fun.
Well,
It's way more fun to be a dick.
that's true. Well, you can be a dick, be a good person. You don't have to be nice all the time to be a good person.
I don't recommend being nice.
Exactly.
Not a good
In fact,
strategy.
sometimes being a good person means you're being a dick, right? Because like telling the fat kid,
That's a
"Hey,
quote.
man, it's all right. You need to, if the burger makes you happy, then the burger makes you." No, hey, man, I get it, but guess what? You're fat, and the job you're in, i.e., the military, requires you to not be fat. So you need to go run, and maybe if you run and get down to that weight, then you can enjoy a burger once in a while. But until then, sorry, this is what
If you need tough love, though, I'm your guy. I told the guy a few months ago, I was like, I can't, I don't think I can be friends with you anymore because you're a loser. And I'm sick of watching you be a loser and then take my time with texting and friendship. Can't do it. I can't be friends with losers. I got places to go.
Well, that makes me feel good.
And then he tightened up. So you're welcome. All right, last one.
I feel good because you text me. But you already plugged yourself, so I can't even.
Brokersofchoice.com. I don't make any money off that website. I don't monetize anything at the moment. You can Skype me for free, although I will not do coaching calls. If you need a coach, call David's the guy. But I will exchange an email with you. I will exchange a Skype with you if you need it, and for some tough love. And that's it. Do you have your tickets to FinCon 2019?
Of course, I bought them while we were there.
Good. I will see you there.
Yeah, I paid for that and the one that piggybacks right before the Military Influencer Conference. I went to that last year too. It's totally different niche, but I felt like since my blog is military related, it's good to go and build relationships, and it piggybacks. So I'll be at FinCon and then through the weekend and then Mill Influencer. And this time I booked a hotel too, so that instead of being the lame-o who leaves early to go to my Airbnb and sleep, I can stay at the hotel until all hours of the night and get cray-cray.
That was a mistake that I made. I stayed with my friend Lee, and he's a points guy. And so he had a timeshare points that he could use at a different hotel. So we'd stay there, and then we're like, well, we got to go back to our hotel. And that was a mistake. So if you need a roommate, which it sounds like you probably will,
I'll hit you up. So I was thinking that my whole family was going to go up there and we were going to enjoy the trip. And then I didn't get stationed on the East Coast. So
I don't want to go with families. So if
well, that's what I'm saying. So I need to have that conversation and figure that out. And if I'm going solo, then I'll even have an extra bed, and we can probably throw 2 or 3 other people in there. And
dude, we need to get some real estate people. That's how you mad bond.
Oh yeah.
We should get Lucas. I bet you Lucas would come crash with us. And
just email Bigger Pockets, like the entire Bigger Pockets place, and be like, hey, all of you should crash in this one room with us. We've got a keg.
People are gonna be mad. Oh, yeah, okay, sold. That's it. You get mad at me. You can't have me. Even Pete McPherson, he crashed in me and Lee's place last year, and I think one night of having me around was enough for him.
Well, I mean, as long as you let me sleep eventually, it doesn't have to be for much, but it's got to be something because I'm old. I can't do it. So
I'm older than you.
I know, but you're Alex and I'm not. So there's another quote for you. All right, I'm gonna stop this recording. Hey, thanks for having me on your podcast.
You are very welcome. I look forward to doing this again. I'm very grateful, though.
Yeah, I'm always down to have you on. You know that. All right.
All right.